Well, hello. Thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. You're very welcome to the channel. And as you can see from the gates here, we're at LOUGHBRICKLAND Presbyterian Church. And these certainly are lovely gates, aren't they? But I want to take you in here and show you the grave of a minister of the church. And that minister is the Reverend William Edmund BREAKEY. And the Reverend BREAKEY was installed here on the 3rd of September 1856. Now, he was born around 1815 in Drumscelt, County Monaghan, and he's described as having a heart love for the ministry. He had so much of the scriptures actually committed to memory that when he frequently done his Wednesday evening Bible lectures, he never actually had to open a book. Now, he was a pastor in LOUGHBRICKLAND Presbyterian Church here for 22 years, which is quite a long time. He was married on the 25th of November, 1848, and his wife was called Jane Crullers, and she was from Banbridge, just down the road. She was described as a young girl of a good family and a very large fortune, or in other words, he married into the money. And of course, they had 2 children, 2 girls. Now, sometime after his wife died, he got a call to First Lisburn Presbyterian, which he accepted. Now, he died on the 6th of April 1872, and he's actually buried in here in the graveyard with his wife, Jane, in LOUGHBRICKLAND Presbyterian. So it's a lovely wee church, isn't it? And the present church on the Ballynanny Road among the Drumlands was actually built in 1819. But the origins of the congregation can be traced back to the early 17th century. They can actually be traced back to the Scots settlers who came to Ireland in the early 17th century after the arrival of Sir Marmaduke Whitechurch to the area. So the first church built on this site is thought to have been built with sod walls and a thatch roof by a number of Scottish settlers shortly after 1610. So the present church was built in 1819 during the ministry of the Reverend Hugh McAllister. Now, the name of the minister before 1687 isn't known, but the Reverend John Myers Sr. was the minister here from 1691 to 1697. And then next it was the Reverend George Lang from 1701 to 1741. And then it was the Reverend Charles McCullum, and he was the minister from March 1744 to December 1744, so quite a short ministry. And then he was followed by the Reverend Timothy White, 1749 to 1756. And then it was the Reverend John Smith from 1757 to 1804, who had the longest ministry here. And then the Reverend Hugh McAllister from 1804 to 1824, who, as I say, was the minister whenever the present church was built. Now, the church cost £750 whenever it was built in 1819, so you certainly wouldn't get a church built for that today, and it certainly is a lovely wee church. And this is the boiler house, and it certainly does look like a house. There's no doubt about that. But that's the boiler house. When I came round at first, I thought it was maybe the manse built onto the church, but it's not. It's just the boiler house. It certainly looks like a house, there's no doubt about that. So in 1927, the church joined with Scarva Presbyterian during the ministry of the Reverend T.S. Reid. But in 1836, the average attendance here was 600 people, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't know how many they get today, but 600 was incredible, especially for a wee country church, you know. I thought that was marvellous. So I'm going to take you into the graveyard here, and I'm going to show you the grave of the Reverend William BREAKEY. And it's a lovely wee church and graveyard here. Don't think there'd be too many old graves here. Don't think you're going to get any older than the 1800s. I don't know of any other ministers who are buried here except the Reverend BREAKEY. So I'll take you down here and let you see his grave. So this is the grave here. This is where the Reverend BREAKEY and his wife is buried. And of course, he was also the minister of First Presbyterian in Lisburn, as well as here. So it says, here lies the body of Jane, the beloved wife of the Reverend William BREAKEY. She died on the 8th of September 1855, and she was just aged 23 years. And then it says, also the body of the Reverend William BREAKEY, minister of First Presbyterian Church, Lisburn, where he died on the 6th of April 1872, age 54 years. And then it says, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord, and that's from Revelation 14 and verse 13. So this is where the Reverend BREAKEY and his wife Jane are buried. Don't know if any of the daughters are buried in here. And of course he didn't die here, he died in First Lisburn. But he preached here for 22 years, where he was only in First Lisburn for 3 years. But originally, of course, from Monaghan. So there you go, folks. And you can see the church there as well. So a wee bit of history here for you. Give you a wee panorama of the place before we wrap the wee video up. So thanks for watching, and God bless.